Welcome to the practice videos for Lesson 12. This video is to help people who are playing by ear understand the songs and be able to play them more easily. So in Lesson 12, the three songs have the same organization. When we did Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, way back when, talked about the song Sandwich, where the first part and the last part are the same, and then the stuff in the middle is different. So you have the bread, P and J, bread. That's how these songs are organized. And when you realize that, you'll say, oh, well, I know that because I already did it. One thing that happens in Lesson 12 that makes them harder than Lesson 11 is that the left hand is more independent. It's doing more melodies, it's moving around, and so it's going to challenge you. You're going to have to really listen in on, well, what's happening with the left hand? I really recommend that you spend a little bit of time doing the right hand by itself, doing the left hand by itself. And all of the other things that we've talked about are going to be useful to you. The idea of listening to a recording over and over, and you're going to add one note. I know these 5, and then what's the 6th one? I know these 6. What's the 7th one? And on the 7th one, there's something in the left hand. What is that note? So you listen through, you identify what is the note in the left hand. Okay? So let's get into a few details for you. So there's this pattern that happens a lot in music for the left hand, especially for classical music. And basically it goes like so. Ah. Right? So it's then an octave and then another octave. And at the end of this song, it's at a different place, but it's very similar. So you want to get used to hearing that. Okay? Another thing that happens in this song is that the ideas, I've talked about this a little bit in jam, where you do a couple things in a row just the same, and then the ending is a little different. So, for example, you're making up a tune, but on the third time, right? So in this song, what happens is that you have the melody at the beginning, and it ends a certain way. Then you have the melody, again, the same, but it ends a little different. So in this song, and then it ends, and that material comes back, and then it changes, right? That happens in this style of music a lot. You got an idea, 2, 3 measures, and then the 4th measure, okay, next time repeats the first 2 or 3, but it's different, right? So the reason I mention that is because a lot of notes going on, and if you start to see that, it's like, oh, okay, I've already done this, except at this place it goes there and it's different. People use that a lot when they're memorizing and they're note readers. So this is the same, except on that note I have to go this way. I wanted to point that out because that can help you with the Divertimento especially. All right, so from here we go to the Presto. Right? And you're really going to start to see that the left hand becomes this independent thing. That's almost a legit melody by itself. And then you've got those rolling fast notes in the right hand. I would go ahead and go over to the recording practice video for the note readers on this one and look at the music just to notice, if nothing else, where the fingers go. The fingering in this one can help a lot. It's very specific. And as I mentioned in Lesson 11, this stuff gets pretty tricky. And most people who are playing by ear exclusively, they're going to be playing like fiddle music or folk music, jazz, blues, and they're not going to be so involved in these classical pieces where the changes happen so quickly, the chords are going by real fast. There's so much to keep track of. So if you're finding this really hard, it's okay. For most musicians, what they do is they adopt a certain amount of note reading if they really want to do classical music. But getting to this place and playing by ear, let me tell you, if you can do it with classical music, you can do it with almost any style of music, and it'll seem easier because the chords don't change so often. All right, so anyway, the fingering here, you cross the 2 over, but come back to the 1. You use the 3, and then you come under. And you're kind of floating through all those notes over and over and over. So it's funny, things start to overlap as far as how they help you. Jamming with that fingering could really come in handy. So I just assign a finger to a note, and whenever I come back to that note, I always use that same finger. And that's really what's going on. When you look at the music, it's like, oh my goodness, there's so much information. Well, just understand that for the most part, every time you come back to the same note, you're using the same finger. And that keeps it organized in your brain so you can kind of let it go. So that's what's going on with the Presto. And the middle section, very, very different. So left hand, very simple there, finally, give you a break. And then when you perform this piece, you do the first bit, you do that section I just played for you, you go back and do the first bit. So there's your sandwich. Okay? All right. So the third piece is an Allegro by Johann Sebastian Bach. And in this one, just so you understand, the left hand is up where the right hand usually plays. And then the right hand is up high. Okay? And this, D, G, B, D. So that's actually a G chord, and then one more note. Then it changes chord, and back to G chord, changes again, chord change, 3 of them, and then your left hand jumps down. And for this second bit, so in that spot you have 3 independent lines going at the same time. If you're curious, there's more to keep track of. And then at the end, the left hand is doing octaves. D to D, C's, B, A, G. But it's all coming down the scale. And the right hand, so the thumb is kind of like in between every note. The melody, that's almost easier to memorize by itself. Then you just put the thumb between. And then it goes upside down. So the melody, sorry. And then the D is at the top. Pinky finger. So some of this will be obvious when you listen to it. And if you look at the page, you'll see, oh, those D's come back. All right, okay, so that's what's happening there. They're little motives, which is a group of melody notes and a rhythm that hang out together. And usually songs, especially by these composers who are famous, their music has been played for hundreds of years, they're organized very, very well. So they use a few ideas and then they vary the ideas. So when you first listen to a piece, most people they're overwhelmed. It's hundreds and hundreds of notes and it's all over the place. How am I ever going to organize this? Listen to it multiple times. Okay, so this is a song sandwich. It goes here. There's a high note here. There's a ditty here. It comes back 3 or 4 times. You're really wanting to get a sense of how the thing is put together. You're thinking very much like a composer when you're playing by ear, because you have to understand the piece to remember it. You're not looking at it. So you have some really distinct advantages in terms of really understanding what music is and how it's put together. So if you like playing by ear and you've enjoyed these lessons, scoot over to the videos to help you make up your own music, because you already have half the tools. You understand how music is put together. When you make up your own music, you just kind of get used to like talking without knowing what you're going to say next. And that gets easier with practice. And then you just talk, and eventually, oh, well, that sounds good. I think I'll say that again. And you start to get it organized in your head. And in those practice videos for making up your own music, I spend quite a bit of time talking about the organization of the chords. So the progression of the harmony is the thing that keeps it together. And that's true in jazz, pop music, lots of different styles of music. They actually pin the melody on a chord pattern. And you can learn these chord patterns, 4 or 5 chords, and you can make up hundreds of your own songs. Okay? Appreciate you joining me. I hope you've enjoyed the lessons. We do have a live class if you want to join it. Just check it out. You can come in anytime. Thanks.